Welcome back to some more behind the scenes of the Waltons. If you're enjoying these, please do like and subscribe, and you can turn on the notifications if you want to know when I'm going to be posting a new video. Today, I thought I'd share some stories from the episode The Dust Bowl Cousins. This was an episode from season 1. In this episode, cousins of our dad, John, come to visit. They've had their farm wiped out by the dust storms and have basically had to pack up what few belongings they have and take to the road in hopes of finding another place to settle. So interesting that most of the relatives who came to visit us on the Waltons were from our father's side of the family. The questions come up about, why wasn't more of Olivia's family spoken about? And they were touched on here and there. But in this case, Cora is a cousin a couple times removed, I believe, from our father. And at some point in the Walton lineage, parcels of land were divided up amongst the children of the Waltons, and I believe that included our grandfather, Zeb, and Cora's grandfather. Cora and her husband, Ham, and their son, Job, show up, and he soon starts thinking that maybe they can get a hold of a piece of this property that he feels should still belong to Cora. Well, along the way, the family causes a fair bit of trouble for the Waltons, particularly Mary Ellen. Their son Job is bad news. And Mary Ellen, being a little rebellious as she could be, finds herself getting into trouble. She gets caught in the shed smoking rabbit tobacco. I've never even heard of rabbit tobacco. I can't imagine how disgusting that must be. I don't remember what we actually were smoking, but it wasn't anything like that, and it wasn't cigarettes, so it was some sort of prop, and I can guarantee you I was not inhaling it. But of course, John Boy comes in and finds us first, and he says he's not going to be tattling, and then Mama shows up. Well, now Mary Ellen's really in trouble, and gets sent to her room to memorize yet another set of Bible verses, which was the standard punishment for Mary Ellen and for, I think, most of the children when they got in trouble. As I leave the shed, you briefly see that I am wearing very short shorts. For some reason, I seem to think they were a pair of my shorts, but I could be wrong. It could have been something the wardrobe department cut off from a pair of jeans, but I don't know. For some reason, I thought they were actually mine, and incredibly short for that period of time on the Waltons. So for me, I thought it was fun. This was the 70s, and everything was short in the 70s. So I thought it was fun to get to put on a pair of actual short shorts for a half a second. At another point in the episode, Mary Ellen is found at the fishing hole again, probably Drusilla's Pond, as was usually the water spot that we went to. This time, Job finds her there, and she's kind of fishing. Well, I was not a fisher woman, man, whatever. So when I look at this and me sort of trying to toss this little line out into the water, I'm like, oh, that does not look like someone who knows what they're doing fishing, but it went by pretty quickly. Earlier, I had spoken about the episode The Awakening, where Mary Ellen experiences her first kiss, also at Drusilla's Pond. So Mary Ellen has a bit of history with boys at this pond. In this case, when Job makes a move on her, she threatens him, and he backs off. Later in the episode, Job and John Boy keep butting heads, and the question comes up for John Boy about what he considers worth fighting for. And later on, when he catches Job making inappropriate advances on Mary Ellen, he decides that's worth fighting for. I loved in this episode how we got the sense of all the generations, how it really does take a village to raise a family, to raise children. And in this case, Grandpa became very much the patriarch of the family, advising John Boy when he is uncertain about what to do, about Job accusing him of being a coward. And Grandpa gives him very wise advice. And then when John Boy and Job actually scuffle, it's Grandpa who comes in and takes them both by the scruff of the neck and takes them off to get it sorted out. So I loved that dynamic of Grandpa having such a strong presence as the patriarch of the family. I really loved the character of Cora Walton. Interesting that her name was Cora Walton, and later we had a Cora Beth Walton, who was also a cousin of the Waltons. Coincidence? I don't know. But I thought Jay McIntosh, who played the character, did such a wonderful job of embodying a character who'd had a very rough life and moved around, and the family had struggled, and recognized her husband's shortcomings in wanting to run when things got tough, but to see the beautiful transformation that she made when she found her inner strength again and was willing to stand up and fight for her family and for what she knew was right, to know that she could go forward and build a life that would be better for her and her family. So I really admired the way she tackled that role and what a lovely job she did with it. I also loved the storyline in here with Aaron and Uncle Ham. She sees him stealing from Mike Godsey's store, goes to John Boy and tries to ask John Boy what she should do because she's seen someone doing something they shouldn't. And with Aaron's history of being a tattletale, John Boy basically says, I don't want to hear about it. So after John Boy shuts her down and says, if you have a problem with someone, you should go talk to them, she goes and tries to confront Uncle Ham, who goes on the attack with her. I thought Mary did a beautiful job with that scene, having to deal with the challenge of a young person trying to confront an adult about something that she knew was true, but having no real power to do anything about it. Of course, it all works out well in the end because this is the Waltons and the family pulls together. People learn lessons from it. The characters on the show learn lessons from it, and frequently, hopefully the audience learns lessons from it too. That was one of the wonderful things about the Waltons. Hopefully, without being too preachy, we represented what was right, the difference between right and wrong, how to deal with that, how to live with honesty and integrity, how to pull together as a family. So yet again, the Dust Bowl cousins, beautiful example of life on Walton's Mountain, how to build a community, how to keep your family together. Thanks for sharing this episode of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. I will be back with more. See you then.